Hey there, it's Kayla. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today we're going to be discussing all the books that I read in the month of March. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. The first book that I finished this month was The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, obviously. I also read the first book in the Fellowship, and my dive into this world was the first time since I was in middle school, and I loved every second of it. I actually plan on reading the entire trilogy this month, but I set really high reading goals, and then I had a reading slump, so I didn't want to force my way through those. I wanted to really enjoy them and take my time through them, and so I ended up just stopping a few chapters into The Two Towers and moving on to something that was a little bit lighter that I thought I would enjoy. But I'm definitely going to continue it because I loved it. I have rambling videos about both of those that I can post in the eye, so that I don't just constantly talk about the same thing over and over again. So if you're curious about more in-depth thoughts on these, definitely check those out. I will say that I loved the prose. I loved the poetry / songs that are woven into it to give you the history of Middle Earth. Love every second of Hobbit life, and I felt so many emotions as I read them, and I also went back and forth between watching the movies and reading the books, so it was kind of a cool juxtaposition and being able to compare and contrast how the characters are different and how the story changes, and overall excellent. Definitely give them a shot. Even if you feel like they're a little bit difficult, I think you should try anyway if you're a fantasy fan, because they're just exceptional. Okay, so speaking of the reading slump, I have a review on this as well. I'll link it up here. House of Earth and Blood, the first book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. This was my least favorite book that I read this month. I really detested it. I'm not a Sarah J. Maas fan. I say this every time I talk about her. If you like her, then we obviously have different taste. There's nothing wrong with liking her. If that's the style of book or the type of writing that you enjoy, it is just not my cup of tea. My review is pretty ranty because that's just who I am. I'm very passionate about things that I feel strongly about, and so if you also have the same opinion as me, definitely check that video out. If you are curious about why I didn't like that book and you really liked it, it might offend you. I don't know. I hope not. I tried to give all the reasons behind why things didn't work out for me, but overall I just wasn't a fan of that book. I gave it 1 star. Okay, so in order to get out of this reading slump from Crescent City, which was 800 pages by the way, I read 7 books this month and lots of them were big. Crescent City was 800 pages, just wanted to throw that out there. So I moved into something that I thought I was going to like and then ended up hating also, which is an awful thing to do. Anyway, Aurora Rising by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman is what I ended up picking up because I like J. Kristoff's writing. I liked Nevernight a lot. I really enjoyed Illuminae. I thought it was fun and fast-paced and just a easy, enjoyable read. I really liked them. I thought the series didn't stick the landing. I didn't really like the last book, but I thought the first 2 were fun and enjoyable. Anyway, so going into this, I thought for sure I would like it. I wanted something easy that I could just fly through. YA sci-fi sound fun to me. I knew the characters would be a little snarky, but juvenile, which I was fine with. I was ready for that. I knew what I was getting into when I got into it. But I did not like this at all. I ended up giving it 2 stars. The first 200 pages I thought were intriguing, thought there was some cool concepts going on, but I thought there was way too many point of view characters for a relatively short book. There were 7, and it was a little over 4, I think it was 450 pages. So I didn't think anybody was developed very well, and the plot was strange and predictable, and there were just a lot of plot devices that were utilized that I don't care for. So yeah, I tried to finish it. I did finish it, but I kind of skimmed the last 100 or so pages because it was just it was just really hard for me to finish. I was struggling. So moving on from those negative things, I ended up picking up Saga Volume 1 by Brian K. Vaughan. I loved this. I have the second one ready to go. I might even read it today, honestly, and just stick it in my April wrap-up or whatever, but this was really cool to switch, because after all the commitment I had made to Crescent City and then the disappointing read in Aurora Rising, I was kind of like, what the hell do I pick up now? Because 2 for 2 I have not enjoyed, and I just didn't know where I wanted to go. I wasn't ready for a big book yet, and so I knew one of my friends had really enjoyed this series, and so I had it ordered from Thrift Books, and it got there just like the perfect time. So I read it. It's a 176-page graphic novel, and it pulled me right out of my reading slump. The illustrations were beautiful, the concept really interesting. It is pretty sexually explicit, graphic. I would say it's sexually graphic. There's some sexy type things going on. There's boobs galore, but yeah, really great. I loved it so much. I can't wait to continue it. I have a lot of books that I'm trying to read while I'm at home right now, because my husband is home, which means I have more time to commit to things. So I'm trying to read my bigger books that usually take me much longer to read when he's not here. So yeah, that's kind of a rambling rant that I'm adding into this for no reason. But okay, and so the last 2 books that I read, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about together. But that was The Kingkiller Chronicles, The Name of the Wind, and A Wise Man's Fear. These were rereads for me. This is all stemming from this freaking reading slump, okay? I went from Saga, and then I picked up Name of the Wind, because I was like, I do want to read a bigger book. I had been planning on rereading these because it's been years since I read them. They were a series that I held near and dear to my heart for a long time. I've read them 3 or 4 times a piece, but it's been 4 or 5 years, maybe even 6, since I picked the series up. So yeah. So I wanted to see what my perspective was going to be, if I felt any differently about them, because my reading tastes have changed and I've read a lot more books since then, and I still liked them a lot. The first book I gave 5 stars. It is perfection in my opinion. It is such a great book. The prose is phenomenal. It is just beautiful. There's so many sentences that you read and you have to go back and reread because it's just beautiful. I don't know how else to describe it. It's really great. I know that there's a lot of criticism toward the series in general. I do think the second book is not quite as good. I gave the first book 5 and the second one 4, but I honestly think if the third book ever got published, and some of the things got tied up that I had issues with in the second book, I think I could potentially bump it up to 5 stars if it ended up mattering in the end, because it was just like some things that I felt like maybe didn't need to exist, but potentially they do. I don't know. So I'm not going to go into like super specific detail about all the things that I did and didn't like about these. I'll say that the first book is definitely worthwhile. I think the second book is an enjoyable read if you get into it knowing that it is a very different story than the first one. It has a totally different feel, and it's more of like a journey, whereas the first one is kind of like if it was James Potter instead of Harry Potter, but James is like poor and he goes to university instead of to, you know, like middle/high school, and yeah, that's kind of it. It's weird, but yeah, Kvothe goes to university and he learns magic, but he's arrogant and cocky like James Potter and kind of a jerk sometimes. But he is endearing to me, as much of a jerk as he is. Either way, like I said, I'm going to talk about this in a whole nother video because I have so many thoughts on it, good and bad. Man, I feel like I haven't talked to humans in so long that I spoke so quickly in this video. I feel like I flew through it, but yeah. So how you guys holding up, man? This quarantine thing is good for reading and bad for me talking to humans. I seriously had to go to the bookstore like before all this shit went down for real. And I swear one person asked me a question. We were like 5 days into quarantine. Things hadn't even started really closing down yet. I swear this woman asked me a question and it was just like my brain was like seeing it happen. But it was like, red alert, what do we do? Like she had to ask me the same thing 2 times because I was just standing there like a fucking idiot. So I don't know. It's getting to me. But we're getting things done. I have a reading vlog coming for Oathbringer. I just got into that today, so that will be a little while. I'm hoping to finish it within a week, and I'm also doing a buddy read / reread of the Mistborn series. So that is exciting as well. So anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Like, comment, and subscribe if you would be so inclined. I'd really appreciate it. It does a lot for my channel. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and there will be more to come.